So, welcome to another episode of Jim's Allotment Garden. Okay, so as you can see, the spinach now is getting reasonably big now. What you don't want to do is let that get pot bound, because if it gets pot bound it'll bolt and then it'll run to seed, then obviously, you know, it won't come to fruition. So I'm going to plant this in the ground now. It's cooled down a little bit. I'm going to plant this out into the open ground, so I'll just show you me doing that now. Okay, so I'm going to be planting it out into the into this section of the tunnel. Now, really with spinach you don't really need to grow it in a tunnel, but as I'm not going to be growing too many brassicas in this tunnel this year. Now I've rotivated this ground over. It's all been dug and rotivated, so it's all nice and loose, but obviously we've had a bit of rain since I rotivated, so all I'm doing is just breaking the soil up a little bit with the trowel like that as I'm going along. Now, as soon as I've got the ground broken up, as you can see, the ground's nice and friable, and that's the way you want to do it, because you want to get the roots into the ground. So it gets away. Now what I'm going to do is plant this in basically 3 rows, 1 row here, 1 row here, 1 row here. You get the rows about, oh, I don't know, I guess about 9 inches apart. So as I say, what you don't want to do is let this get pot bound. So what I'm going to do is just basically squeeze these like that and then push it out. As you can see, nice little plantlet. There's about 3 actual plants in there. I'm going to start the first one off just about here. Now you can, you know, sort of plant these reasonably close together. You know, you don't need to worry about them sort of crowding each other too much. As you can see, it's a nice little plant. But you can see it won't take too long before these become pot bound, because you know the roots have already reached the bottom of the little nodules. So before you know where you are, these would definitely be pot bound. Right, let's just put the third one in there. You can just about see that on shot, which is just about here. Right. But what you do want to do is you want to make sure that the ground is nice and fertile and nice and loose like this. You don't want it to be, you know, sort of too rough. Now, what I'm going to do now is plant the next ones about 6 inches away. And I've got plenty of this, so I can afford to get them reasonably close, like that. Plant them at the same depth as they were before. Now what you will need to do, at least for the first few days if it doesn't rain, is keep these well watered. So don't let them get dry. So what I'll be doing every night pretty much until it rains at least is just coming up and giving these a bit of water. Right, right. Now what I need to do now is just continue along the row, breaking the ground up like that with the trowel. And then obviously the next one will go 6 inches along like that, and then you can very quickly, you know, sort of get these in, and it won't take you too long to plant an entire row of the plants. And as soon as I've done it, I'll show you what it looks like when it's finished. Okay, so that's all the spinach in up to there. Now what I'm going to do is put a second batch in, and I'll continue up at the back there in a few weeks' time. But what you do need to do, as I say, keep it well watered. I've just put 4 watering cans of water over this to give it a good start, and you'll need to do that until you get a good downpour of rain. Okay, so as you can see, the sweet peas are around sort of 6 inches or so long now. So what I need to do is get these into the ground. What I've done here is I've just dug out a bit of a trench up the side of the tunnel. So what I can do is I can plant these inside a trough in the ground, and then when it comes to watering, I can just basically go along here with the the watering can, and I can very easily water them. So I find that if you plant sweet peas into a bit of a trench, then that will most certainly, you know, ease the water of it. So what I want is basically the sweet pea, top of the sweet pea plant to be just below, an inch or so below the ground, and then I can then fill, you know, sort of water them quite easily. Just fill that trench with water, and then that'll make sure that they all get plenty of water. So what I'm going to do is basically take out these plants and just sit them around about an inch or so apart, so that they are quite densely populated. If you want to grow sweet peas to show them, you would basically plant one plant per cane. What I'm going to do with these is actually grow them up. I'm going to put a wire mesh against the tunnel and grow them up against that. So I find that works quite well for me. So they don't take up a lot of room that way, and you also get plenty of nice variety of flowers. So as soon as you've got about 4 plants in like that, about an inch or so apart, what you can do then is just quickly go back and sort of backfill up each side. As soon as you water them, the earth will you know, sort of go down beside the plants anyway. So if you do that down one side, and then if you just hold the plants back slightly with your hand gently, you can then put some earth up the back like that. As I say, as soon as you water them, all of that will kind of wash in between them anyway. So these, any sweet peas will most certainly need to be supported. So, you know, you will need either some kind of frame or cane for them to grow up. If you use a frame, they send out these little kind of tendrils here, and they'll wrap around anything that's reasonably small, and they end up looking, they kind of curl up like that. And if you can see that, that's some from last year. If you put in bamboo canes, they typically don't hold on to those so well. So ideally what you want is some strings going across that they can hold on to, or some you know, branches off a tree which have got sort of smaller bits in that they can sort of hold on to easily. And then you can just leave them to it basically. Obviously the one thing you do need to do with sweet peas is make sure that they don't dry out. They do like to have plenty of water, and the ground obviously needs to be fertile, so there has been some chicken manure planted, dug into here, so you know, I know that this ground's nice and fertile. What I am doing, you can't notice, but on the right here I've got all the different, because I've put 4 varieties in, so I'm taking some out from each of the different varieties to make sure I've got a mixture on here. As I'll just continue on doing this, and then I'll show you what they look like when they're finished. Okay, so there are all the sweet peas, and as you can see they're reasonably densely planted at the bottom, but they will most certainly go up and fill this. Now all this is the mesh off the side of a piece of Harris fence panel, which is what I made this tunnel out of. I've just put a couple of bamboo canes up either side of it, and that's more than sufficient to hold the sweet peas up. If you haven't got that, obviously you can put some strings across, or just use any old mesh will do. I mean, you know, if they can climb up it, you know, they'll be soon up and over it. And the other good thing about sweet peas is, you know, if you keep picking the flowers, they will keep producing flowers. What you don't want to do is to let any of the sweet peas go to seed, because as soon as they go to seed, they'll stop producing flowers. So as soon as you see the sweet peas, pick them. These are most certainly flowers to pick, to put in your house, because they smell really nice. If you don't pick them and leave them on the plants, the plant will soon run to seed and then basically shut down. That'll be the end of it for this year. So the best thing you can do with sweet peas is keep on picking them. The more you pick, the more they'll produce. And so that's your sweet peas. As I say, I'll give those a good watering later on today, and just give them, you know, make sure they've had a good watering. I did actually water them before I put them in, so I know the plants are okay at the moment, and then they will very quickly grow up these 2 meshes at the end of the tunnel, and I'll show you those in a couple of weeks' time when they're just in bud. Okay, so just do a quick tour of the greenhouse and the allotments and stuff. So in here we've got this is the celeriac. As you can see, it's growing really well now. It's about 3 or 4 inches high now, so that's doing well. These are the tomatoes. So we've got Moneymaker here. That's the celeriac there. We've got some more Moneymaker here. Some Gardener's Delight. Those are the small red cherry ones. And then on this side here, we've got the the Gardener's Delight again there. And then we've got at the back here, we've got the peppers. Those are the sweet peppers, the long red Marconi, and then we've got jalapenos. This bit here. So as you can see, that lot's sort of coming on quite nicely. The tomatoes are most certainly behind where they should be. These should sort of by rights be about 6 inches or so high now. So we're about, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks behind where we are normally with that. We have got a couple. This one here didn't quite make it through, and there's another one somewhere that doesn't grow particularly well, one of the peppers. But apart from that, they're doing all right. Right, on this side we've got the parsnips just been watered down there. Hopefully going to come through in the next couple of days. So that's that greenhouse. Out here, as you can see, the comfrey's growing really well. We've had sort of bees love comfrey, so what I always like to do is at least let the bees have a bit of pollinate off them before I start chopping them down. But there has been bees all around this morning. I don't think there are now. So anyway, the comfrey's growing really well. Here we've got the thyme plants down there that aren't looking particularly happy with themselves. The mint and the balm and the hollyhock here. There's another hollyhock at the back there. They're growing on. In this greenhouse, the beans. These are the string beans. There's 3 lots of string beans there. They're coming through quite nicely, as you can see. They're all sort of breaking through now, and you can see now. If you look at that one, you can see why I plant them on the side, because the bean sort of comes round like that, and that opens up. So you can see there's the actual beans. That's the inside of the bean, and you can see that's the these are like the seed leaves, if you like, and then they're the first true leaves. So you can kind of see what I was trying to explain the other week when I was pouring them in. Right, the sunflowers, I've had I don't know, they just haven't germinated anything like what I was expecting them to be honest with you. These have germinated okay, and then I put 3 or 4 more seeds in each of the pots. For some reason, some of them, I've had 3 or 4 plants come through. Others, there's absolutely none at all, like these here and these at the front here. So what I'm going to have to do is basically knock these out and basically sort of prick them out and sort of fill the pots out that way. So I'll do that. But I'm going to put some more. Sunflowers in anyway. Right, these are some sweet peas that are left over. I've actually put the sweet peas out now, and there's a few over here. Okay, and then over here we've got the other tomatoes. These are the Golden Sunrise. They're the yellow tomatoes. Here we've got the asparagus, and you can see they're all starting to grow now. This is quite tall now. So those are the ones that we potted up. Fuchsias at the back. That's not done a lot in the last few days. This is just a mint plant here. Right, the dahlias, as you can see, are really growing now. This one's coming on really strong. This would be the time if you're going to take a cutting off dahlias. This is the time to do it. So basically, you'd cut that down, sort of down there, take these leaves off, and then you could basically make, take a cutting out of there. Don Pedro planter, as you can see, that's now starting to burst through here, and there's another little bud down there starting to come through. So that's growing quite well. These are the cauliflower plants growing on quite well. They'll go into the tunnel shortly. Cucumber plants, these are some cucumbers I've actually been out and bought. These are a couple of £1 each from a nearby garden centre. So I'll be growing 9 cucumber plants. Spring onions that I put in last week, obviously the ones that are outside there. That's the first lot. This will be the second lot to go in. These are the hollyhocks. There's only 4 come through, unfortunately, but that's the look of the drawer, I guess. So I'll pot those 4 up before too much longer. That's the baby asparagus, as you can see now. If I come down here, you'll be able to see they're all sort of growing through quite nicely. Strawberries, extra strawberries to put out, which will go out at some point. This is the additional celeriac that I put in, as you can see there. That's started to germinate. This is the Don Pedro seeds that I put in, that are now growing quite nicely. And at the back there we've got Aquilegia, which is just starting to come through. This is Aquilegia here. These little plants here, that's a weed there. But all these others are Aquilegias starting to come through. Over here we've got the gourds, so these here, the squashes, these first 8 here, growing quite nicely. Then we've got courgettes here, so 3 of the 6 have come through so far. That's another squash, the same as these. And then at the back there we've got the pumpkins, so far we've got 5 pumpkin plants come through. If the others don't come through in the next week, I will put some more seeds in. Those are the alpine strawberries, just growing through there, and then just starting to germinate here is the second lot of broccoli that I put in last week. Underneath here we've got the runner beans, but they have not started to come through yet. And up here, as you can see, the grapevine is growing really well now, and I'm actually starting to get the startings of some little bunches of grapes on there. And just here you can see there a little bunch of grapes forming on there, so the grapevine's coming on quite nicely. As you can see, there's little bunches of grapes all the way along. There's some more at the end here, as you can see, little bunches of grapes. So what I will need to do before too much longer is thin out. So I've got about probably about 8 bunches of grapes along. So what I'll do is I'll pick out the best ones, and then all these smaller ones, as you can see here, I'll just take them off. And what I will need to do is sort of cut back some of these branches, just stop them, so they don't kind of overtake in the greenhouse as they have done last year. So that's the second greenhouse. Here we've got the marjoram, sage, mint, some more sage here. This rosemary bush isn't really happy at all. I'm not quite sure what's going on with this, but as you can see, it's looking quite sorry for itself. I'm not quite sure what's gone on with that, but the rosemary bush that's next to it, this one here, is all right. There's no effect on that one at all. So I'm not quite sure what to think. I don't think it's a disease, otherwise that one would have it as well. But anyway, the rosemary bush isn't looking very happy for itself. Right, here we've got some of the onions that we put in. These are the onions from seed. They're about to go into the ground in the next half an hour or so. So as soon as I finish this clip, I'll put those into the ground. This is the second lot of comfrey here. As you can see, it's growing quite nicely. So what I will do with the comfrey in the next couple of weeks is cut it all down to the ground, and then that'll go into the tub to make some comfrey juice as fertiliser for the greenhouse. Okay, here we've got the chives growing quite nicely, and as you can see, the asparagus now is growing really well. We have eaten quite a lot of asparagus, but as you can see, this is growing really strongly here. So obviously those have gone too far now to eat. But as you can see, that nice big one there, that's going to grow into a nice bush. So that'll most certainly feed the roots. I've got a few weeds in here. There's some sort of dandelions and stuff, and unfortunately I've got some bindweed down here which I really do need to get out. So obviously I can't dig the ground because obviously I've got the asparagus in here. So what I'm going to do is just pull it out, and then it's also in the raspberries here as well. So what I'm going to do is just pull it out as best I can. I have already pulled a load out. You can see the remnants of it there. So what I'll do is I'll just weed this out. Now I've got the rest of the allotment done, I'll weed this all out, and then what I might do is take up this path here and try and get the roots out to the ground. But obviously where the raspberries are and where the asparagus is, I can't dig the ground because, you know, basically, you know, I'll be disturbing the roots of other things. So I'm just going to pull it out. What I might resort to is to put some weed killer on it. I really don't want to, but I think I possibly will need to do that. Right, so I've got a bit of a sad bit of news here. This is the pear tree, the espalier pear tree, and I'm reasonably convinced now, even though it did start to bud at the beginning of the year, for some unknown reason, I think the tree's died. So having trained it for a couple of years on this framework, I think it's actually died. So there's no signs of life on it anywhere, all the way down to the ground. Why exactly it's died, I really don't know. But what I'm going to have to do is take this out and replace it with another one. Obviously, all this here, this is Josterbury. That's the Josterbury bush, but I think the pear tree's died, unfortunately. So I'll have to take that out and replace that with another one. Along here, obviously, this is the Josterbury bush. As you can see, the Josterburys are coming on it quite nicely. Jostberries, if you don't know, it's a hybrid between black currant and gooseberry, and what you get is these little dark purple gooseberries, which are really nice for making jam and that. But it's absolutely laden with them. It's all over. The cherry tree, as you can see, we've had the blossom on, and now we're starting to get the cherries forming, as you can see here. So there's lots of cherries on the cherry tree. So that's done really well. And the way that this has been trained along the framework, it has grown really well. So the frame's really starting to fill out with trees and stuff. It's a shame that pear tree's died at the end, to be honest. Sorry. Yeah, pear tree at the end. The apple tree here, obviously we've got another Rosemary Bush here, which is this one, again covered in berries. And this is the apple tree here, which we've had the blossom on already. The blossom's already been, and there's been bees all around this. So all of these, hopefully, are going to develop into little apples all the way down there. So there should be plenty of apples forming on there in the coming week. So I'll just quickly go around here. I'll just quickly show you the beans and the so these are the broad bean plants. I have been watering them. A couple of them look a bit sorry for themselves, unfortunately, and I think it's the change in the weather that we've had. It's not suited them particularly well, but as I say, I have been watering them. They are looking a little bit dry at the minute, but I did water them 2 nights ago. But I'm hoping that they'll pick up. And these are the spring onions. I need to bank the earth up a bit against them just to help them on a bit, but again they're looking a bit sorry for themselves. So okay, so as you can see, the strawberries are coming on quite nice. I do need to get in there and weed them. There's a few weeds here and there which need to be taken out, but they're doing okay. The potatoes haven't shown yet, but there's a few weeds coming on. There's a potato there that's actually come through, but I don't think that's one I've set. I think that's probably just a potato that was in there from last year. But what I will do is hoe these up again and get any of the surface weed off. Here are the sunflowers that we put in today, and the grill going up. So inside here we've got on this side we've got the calabrese, which is the green broccoli. As you can see, that one at the back there is actually run to seed. This one here as well has got a floret on the top of it, so they're likely not to form florets that are too big. But the rest of them are coming on quite well. Up this far end here, there's a little bit of bindweed in here, which I'm going to dig out. And then basically the cauliflowers are going to go in here, where Dorothy is now. And then these are the kale plants, which are settling in quite nicely. As I say, I'm watering them every couple of nights over the past few days, just to sort of get them bedded in. But I don't intend to water these too much through the year. As soon as they've got themselves established, you're better off letting them get the roots in and you know, sort of getting their own water out of the ground. But obviously if it does run dry, you do need to most certainly give them a bit of water. Okay, then out here there's a bit of a change since you last saw us. The parsnips have gone in there, so there's 3 rows of parsnips in here. That's the kale from last year, and I'm letting that run to seed. So I'll just quickly go over. So as you can see, that's what kale looks like when it runs to seed, and the seed pods are here. So it looks very much like, I don't know if you've walked through fields with rapeseed, but rapeseed and kale are very similar. Obviously they're both brassicas, very similar plants, and this is, in the morning, this is absolutely covered with bees at the moment, which is obviously pollinating all the flowers, and then the seeds will form in these little pods here. And obviously for rapeseed, this is where they get the oil from the seeds, so that's the bit that they're actually after. So hopefully we'll get some good seeds off these for this year, for next year. Right, so in the rest of this ground here, there will be, I'll probably plant the gourds up there as soon as those have run to seed, and potentially some of the celery or the celeriac will go in here as well. Okay, so in this second tunnel here, we've got the in here we've got the spinach, which you saw me putting in. Hopefully you've seen that clip now. So that's all the spinach gone in, and obviously I've been watering that, making sure it's you know, sort of kept water, because what you do want to do is let that get established quite quickly. And then this is the beetroot up here, 2 rows of beetroot there. So at the back here, what I'll probably put in is again either the celeriac or either the Swedes or the celeriac or celery. And then at the far end here, I'll put in one of those as well. So that'll be filling the space up. Then I'll be putting some more wood chip up the middle for the path. Right, so that's the second tunnel. Right, and here there's quite a bit of a change since you last saw it. Obviously, the rhubarb has grown really well now, as you can see. Really nice thick stems. So we have been harvesting that. The onions are going to be planted here. So this has all been dug over and dug over, rotivated. Then I've put in 5 barrows of chicken manure and 4 barrows of grass cuttings, rotted down grass cuttings, and that's all been rotivated in. So this ground's really now nice and fertile. The beans canes have gone up. This is where the string beans are going to go in. And if you want to know how to put up bean canes, basically the easiest way of doing it is to put 2 strings in like I've done here, where you want the 2 rows to be, and the rows need to be around 2.5–3 foot between each, sort of between them, and then put in 2 canes at one end, which are these 2 here, and then if you count along however many, I've got 8-foot cane here, so I've counted along sort of 8 foot. So put a cane on the floor, and you can see where the 2 ends of this one at the top will be. And then basically what you do then is put 2 canes at that end there, and then you can fasten the top one in at the top there, and then obviously at the end here you can fasten the one at the top there, and then all you need to do then is then put them in about sort of 6 inches or so apart, and then basically, and then just keep repeating that going along. The way to join them up at the top is 2 thin ends of the bamboo you can attach together like I've done here, just with a length of hose pipe. There's about 1 foot of hose pipe there, so you know, just push that over the ends. As long as the bamboo doesn't go in and out of it, you know, it holds it in quite tight. That'll do quite nicely. And then at the fat end of the bamboo cane, you can use some larger pipe, which I have done here, and then basically that should then, you know, sort of join it all together. What I do suggest you do at the end here is put a diagonal in, and what that'll do is it'll stop the whole structure going backwards and forwards like that. So basically, if I before I put those in, I could basically push the top like here backwards and forwards, and the whole thing would rock. But if you put in a diagonal like that, it'll stop it from rocking. So you can put another one of those in the middle here, just to strengthen it up a bit further, but I've put one so far at each end, so there's another one here, as you can see. And all you need to do is put it in diagonally, and then tie it in a couple of times with some cable ties, and then that'll be more than secure to hold your beans up and everything. Because when the beans grow, you do get quite a lot of weight at the top, and it can get a little bit top heavy. What you need to do is make sure you've got a sound structure before you start, otherwise it'll all collapse in on itself. I've made these walkways here. These are some 4x3 joist that I managed to get hold of, and all I've done is I've basically strapped them together underneath with some wood there. I've done that 4 times along the length of it, and that's made some nice walkways so I can get to the beans when they're done. As I say, the onions are going to go here, and then this bit here will be dug over, and this is basically going to be from here up to about there. This is where the gourds are going to be, so I'm going to dig this all over. This is really the only part that's not been dug yet. Dig this all over. I'm going to dig in a load of compost, chicken manure, and get it all really nice and fertile, and then I'll be growing the pumpkins, the butternut squashes and the courgette plants along here, so they'll go in, and then this bit here, basically along the back of this tunnel here, will be the runner beans. So the runner beans will basically be from here up to here. So I'll basically construct a similar thing for the beans as I have done there, from there to there, and then the runner beans will go in there. There's going to be another row of potatoes to go in here, which are about to go in, which are basically just some I've not managed to get in yet. And that's pretty much what the allotment looks like at the moment. So at the moment we're on I think it's the 12th of May at the moment. So that's kind of what it looks like at the moment.
So, I hope this episode was some use to you. Please don't hesitate to put any comments or questions you got below, and I'll always get back to you. And I'll see you on the next episode of Jim's Little Garden.